But nonetheless, literally, whether it looks like this or something else, it's going to have one that you have to order. That's how question number 1 on the semester test starts with. So that's how it starts. Here, I got a star number 8 because I'm going to work through that one. There are 2 different ways that you can solve this one. So right off the bat, I'm going to use the percent proportion, where percent is always out of 100. So then that means that 80% is 80 out of 100. And that equals, the total goes on the bottom, where our keyword of is that. So since 65 comes after the word of, that represents the total. Some unknown amount goes on top, and now we can do the crisscross cross product, where you get 100x equals 5,200. Feel free again, as always, to use a calculator with that. Done it a couple of times, so I got it memorized. Divide by 100. Perfect! And you get x equals 52. Now, right away, second hour said, well, Mr. Walls, you can just multiply those and be done, right? Yeah. This is one method. If you like that, great. If not, my method, I like the percent equation, where it says what number, so I put down the letter N, the word is meant equals. Please remember you must move the decimal twice, so don't write down 80%, go bump, bump, 0.80. The word of meant to multiply, and then you've got 65. You don't have to write both of these down, whichever method you like, because neatly enough, when you do this math, N also equals 52. Is there a method you like one over the other? Then use it. I like the percent equation. But if you like the percent proportion, it works every time. Is on top, of on the bottom. The original, or the total amount rather, on the bottom. You don't need to use both of them. I'm just showing you again from chapter 6 2 ways to solve that type of problem. And there's 1 or 2 of those like that on your semester test. And then as you cruise on through, whatever format it is, you're going to have those percent equations. Down here, number 14, you've got original price, discount, and a sale price. So whether it's a word problem, whether it's a picture, or whether it looks like this, find it. Please remember, a discount is money that you're saving. You do not have to pay it. So you have a discount of 60%. 60% of what? Of the original price of $130. So do remember, don't write down 60. Move the decimal twice. Bump, bump, 0.60 times 130. And since it's a standardized test, you might actually find 78. Since it's a multiple choice test, rather, you might find 78 as an option, but it will be wrong. Your math is correct, but remember, a discount is money that you save. So make sure you save that money. So make sure that person ringing up your total on the bill, or total at the till, the cash register, make sure it's taking that $78 away, because you want to make sure you're saving the right amount of money and you're not paying anything extra. So whether it's a tax or a tip or a discount, markup, make sure that you can do problems like that. Whether it's a word problem or listed just like this, that is 1 or 2 problems on your semester test. For me, again, if you're following along on the semester review packet, you can turn the page. If you're not following along, that's fine. If you've got it, you can write on your semester review. Or if you're wanting to work on your cheat sheet and literally be writing these down on a piece of paper, you can. Some people like to organize things afterwards, so you just kind of fill all this out, and then tomorrow in class, you usually get time, you can fill in your cheat sheet. about number 17? Ha 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 ha! An account earns simple interest. Interesting. So whether it looks like that, whether it's a word problem, or sometimes on number 17, they might just, like our chapter test had, it might just say P equals 1,450. Your R is 9%, and your T is 5 years. You don't need to write that on in, but it may look like one of these two setups, or it may be a word problem. Either way, simple interest, I always say, who's our friend that likes to play? And it's I perts. I equals PRT. Excuse me. Do you want that formula on your cheat sheet? Great. Write it on in. Nah, Mr. Walls, I remember that. Great. Now, Mr. Walls, I'm just done. All right, fine. Would you like to make the reminder to yourself what those letters stand for? Great. Do you not want to? Great. The option is yours. But quickly, principal, or the starting money. That's what the letter P stands for. Your R is your rate, or a percent written as a decimal. And then the important thing with T, it's not just time, it had to be in years. If this is one of the problems that I require work on, then I'm going to be looking for this formula as well. Again, on the separate piece of paper, you'll know which ones need the work. So then, like on number 17 then, whichever way it looks, I'm going to put down I equals PRT. That's my formula. Let's start plugging things on in. The principal, 1,450, times the rate. Don't put 9 in. Remember, we moved the decimal 2 times. Bump, bump. So times 0.09 times our time of 5 years. You get to use a handy-dandy calculator, so make sure you type that in there the right way. You know that I've missed the decimal times and time again, but that gives you $652.50, or half. Since it's a multiple choice test, last hour did make the good comment. You'll probably see the 0 added on to it. Perfect. You're going to see one just like that on number 17. Number 18, just like one of these two, whether it's solving for interest or solving for time. When it gives you interest, principal, rate, and time, it sounds like our friend IPERT. Someone put down I equals PRT. You don't need to put 18, the actual number, on your cheat sheet. You don't have to even write this on the cheat sheet, but you might see one like it on the semester test that it's helpful maybe to have it on in there so you can see you plug in the principal. The rate's got a question mark, so I'm just going to leave it as R. The T has a 2, and since I've got an R here, a variable here, that means I must know my interest. The I must have been told, or I can figure out. So since they told us it was 40, I'm going to plug that on in. Ooh. Let's clean this guy up. Since everything is touching, the 400, the R and the T, the R and the 2, multiply them. 400 times 2 gives you 800. Bring the R with. That still equals 40. Sweet. Solve for R. One-step equation. Divide by 800. Be very careful. I like the answer 20, but you're not going to find that. Make sure you take the top divided by the bottom, which is going to give you 5/100ths R, or 0.05. Great. But on your multiple choice test, you're not going to find that answer. It's not wrong. It's just not a rate. How many times have we moved the decimal? 2 times. Bump, bump. So the answer you want to look for, or the correct answer that we need, is 5%. Do you want them on the cheat sheet? Do you not? Got it, Mr. Walls. I have no idea what just happened. That's where we can come and ask questions. homeroom, after school, or again, day 2. That's what that purpose is for. Down here, number 20 asks for percent change. You have one currently that talks about a percent of discount. So like my hydro here, if I know it was 80 bucks normally, but I bought it for 50 bucks, what percent discount was it on? Well, in real life, we probably say, don't care, save 30 bucks, bye-bye. But since we're in math class, when they ask you to find the percent discount, if you want to put that on in, percent discount, well, that's just the same thing as finding your percent change. And from chapter 6, I said it's strange every time because to find the percent change, we put the change, the amount of change, over the original. So remember, we want the amount of change. Not 8, but the amount of change. The difference between 5 and 8 is 3. The original, the number that was listed first, is 5. If you've got a 3 out of a 5 on a worksheet, how do you find the percent? Yep, divide. You take the top divided by the bottom, but do remember, a 3 out of 5 is not a 0%. How many times do you move the decimal? Twice. Bump, bump. So this is a 60% discount. Or in this case, since we went from 5 up to 8, since we went up, it's a 60% increase. Multiple choice, you'd probably have 60% increase, 60% decrease. It might have a other option there. So just be careful. Multiple choice questions are formed or set up that way when you make a mistake, the answer should still be there. So do the best that you can on it. Tend to precision. 22, 23, and 24. You have 3 just like this. Very similar. So make sure you know how to do number 22. You got a question on it? I'll gladly answer that later, but I want to focus on 23 and 24. Though we normally have just taken our Chapter 7 test or our Chapter 7 scale line assessment, let's cover it again. There's a big X. So then since this is a multiple choice question, you might see 142 adjacent, 142 vertical, 38 adjacent, or 38 vertical. That might be your 4 options. You don't need to write that on in. I just want to show you again, multiple choice question. So all of these are understandable answers, but only one of them is right. Since there's a big X, when they're opposite each other, that means that they are vertical angles. So right away, if you know they're vertical, that would eliminate 2 possible answers. But when we talk about vertical angles, they were congruent. So that means you pick one. 142 is congruent or equals the other one. Equals X. Since there's no like 3x or x minus 2 with it, you're done. The other angle is 142 degrees. So then on the semester test, you want to pick the one that says 142 degrees that's vertical. Probably not going to have to show work on that one, because that one they're vertical, they're the same. However, number 24, do they form a big X? Nope. So that means they're adjacent. When we talk about adjacent, what do they look like on the outside? That box, that right angle, or complementary. Either one, whatever you see, just remember that complementary or that right angle means 90 degrees. So start with what you know. Complementary is 90, or right angle is 90 degrees. So add up the angles, 3x or 2x, which one do you want to start with? 3x plus 2x, great. Hey, these guys are like terms. So add the 3x and the 2x. That gets you 5x. Adding those like terms, wonderful. Solve by dividing by 5. And again, like we saw on our scale line assessment, answer the question. Since it said find the value of x, you're done. If they wanted the missing angle, you need to take 18 times 2, gets you 36 degrees, and 18 times 3 gives you 54 degrees. Make sure you do those if that's what's needed. This one is complementary, yep, because it's 90 degrees. Same thing down here. Tell her they're complementary, supplementary, or neither. So if you need the reminder, complementary is 90 degrees. Supplementary is 180 degrees. And then show the work. On a test like this, you can just put a plus sign right between them. I'll accept that. Although on the semester test, I have you usually write your work on a separate piece of paper, so I'd like to see the 110 plus 45, please. From there, make sure you're familiar with those. Again, if you're following along on the semester review packet, I invite you to turn the page. I'm not going over every example. That's where you have time on your own, have had time, and you'll have some time, hopefully the next day of class. We will this time when we're making the video, but not always the same. But we should have another day where we can work on it. Ooh, classify the triangles. Do you want to go to chapter 7 in your lesson 3 notes and take those 2 slides and copy all those examples over of acute triangles and obtuse triangles and equiangular triangles? You can. No, Mr. Walls, don't care. Okay, you don't have to. Do you want to just write down the words? Awesome. If nothing else, maybe you want to make the note to yourself. What do all 3 angles in a triangle always add up to? Close, 180. Yes. So I'm going to do number 33 in just that one. They're all the same, though. You start with what you know. They add up to 180 equals, well, add up your angles. 28 plus 124 plus x. Doesn't matter what the triangle is, they'll always add up to 180. That's why I always say start with the 180. Now add up like terms. In this case, the numbers, the constants. That gets you 152 plus x. Cleaning that up, making it a little bit easier to solve, because now we can just get rid of the 152 by subtracting, or my habit, adding a negative 152 to both sides. And that leaves me with, careful with the mental math, 18, 28, 38. The only right answer is 28. That is the value of x. From there, then, it says to classify. So go through. Are all 3 angles less than 90 degrees? Nope. It's not acute. Ooh, is there one angle that's 90 degrees with a box in the corner? Nope. Not right angle. Is there an angle that's more than 90 degrees? Ah, so then this is an obtuse triangle. Remember, if it's an acute triangle, all 3 are less than 90 degrees. But don't forget, you need another name. Classified by its sides. Is it that scalene or all the sides are different? So yeah, give you a clue. Think of it, 2 sides and 2 angles are equal. If you don't want to put isosceles into your notes, you don't have to. It's multiple choice. So you don't have to worry about spelling that or trying to spell it. But if you want isosceles in your notes, you can. Equilateral, where all the sides are the same. Equilateral, equal sides. You can put those. But that's classifying. Once again, multiple choice. So can you pick the one with the right answer? Yeah, you can. It's going to take you a lot of time? No. It doesn't take a lot of time there. While you're in Chapter 7, do you want to go to Lesson 4 and write out every shape? You don't have to. Could you? Yeah, because you have 4 questions. A, B, C, or D. On number 35, is it a kite? Is it a trapezoid? Is it a rhombus? Is it a square? It's a kite. Number 36, is it a trapezoid? Is it a square? Is it a rectangle? Is it a kite? Oh, it's a rectangle. 37, is it a trapezoid? Is it a square? Is it a rectangle? Is it a rhombus? It's a trapezoid. You're going to have multiple choice questions. No work to be shown. But did you want to draw 37 on your cheat sheet and say, oh, that's what a trapezoid looks like? This guy? Yeah, go right ahead. That guy's called a trapezoid. Nah, it's multiple choice, Mr. Walls. I got it. Great. Then don't. But if you want to put those on your cheat sheet, you can literally draw these in or go to lesson 4 in chapter 7 and put in the quads. And we're talking about turning pages again. Ooh, here we go. Those are 4 more questions. So again, when you hear that there's so many questions, 4 of them are, what shape is this? No work. Multiple choice. Plug it on in. Ooh, but I definitely have a big old note. You and I have to do number 41 this year because we did not get to this. But in geography class, you've been doing projects all year like this. If it's 1 inch on the map, how far is that in real life? If it's 1 inch on a map, then it's 50 miles. 1 inch is 100 kilometers. You've been doing that in geometry. You've been doing that in geography. So you're always looking for the scale. Since the scale is 1 to 4, let's write that as a fraction. 1 to 4. I welcome you to put the labels off to the side too. That 1 inch is the same as 4 feet. Because then once we know that, now we're going to set up another proportion. What's the other number they gave us? 18. Yeah, it's got the label inches. So again, the 1 or the 4, which one had the inch with it? Or over here, since we see inches are on the top, since 18 is inches, put it on the top. Match up the labels. So according to the scale, 1 inch is 4 feet. So 18 inches is how many feet? Well, you might say, well, duh, Mr. Walls, all you're going to do is multiply. Great. If you already know to multiply, then multiply. If you're not sure to whether to multiply or divide, then you just set up a cross product. Here you multiply. 1x equals 72, so I've solved for it. If the scale is 1 inch is 4 feet, that means, according to the model, 18-inch wingspan on the airplane means they're 72 feet in real life. Do you want that on your cheat sheet? Great. Put it on there. Nah, Mr. Walls, I got it. I know how to multiply. Good. The choice is yours. Whatever's on that cheat sheet. You get to use on that semester test. Handwritten, one side of a normal 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. Blank or lined. Choice is yours. Colored or not. Ooh, you know how to do circles. Make sure you remember how to do them for circumference. You're going to see 1 or 2 of those. You know how to find area of a circle. That's chapter 8, our 7G4? 7G6? Can't remember, sorry. But from there then, make sure you know how to do that. I'm not going to work those ones out for time's sake today because you'll see it on another one. But if you wanted to write out the formulas, don't forget we've got formulas for circumference. The circumference of a circle. I used to always remember it as CD, but we don't have CDs anymore. C equals pi d. Just like then the area of a circle. Area was pi r squared, or taking your radius times your radius, and then taking it times pi, or 3.14. Or remember, the radius is halfway. Do you need to make that note to yourself? Great. The diameter goes all the way across. Great. Make that note if you need to. Otherwise, I'm going to go to 48. I'm going to work that one out since I'm recording the video. It says, find the perimeter. What 2 shapes do you see in 48? Yes, a half circle or a semicircle and a square. Well, the nice thing is this squarish rectangle, around the outside, we've got a 10, an 8, and a 10. So, add up those sides. That gets us 28. If this is one of the problems I require work on, I want to see that, though you can do that mentally or with a calculator. But now the semicircle, you don't need to title it, but especially since I'm making a video, I'm going to say semicircle, because then we can figure out the perimeter of the semicircle. But a semicircle is half a circle. So take the circumference and cut it in half. Divide it by 2. So as you're looking at the semicircle, we want 3.14 times the total distance, the diameter, which isn't listed here, so looking over here, diameter is 8. Take that divided by 2. And that's where we get 12.56, aka 12 and 56 hundredths. But that might be an answer on the multiple choice, but it's not the right one. We must compose or add these together so that way we get our 28 plus 12.56 to get 30, 40.56 centimeters. Did you want to draw that shape into your notes? Or rather onto your cheat sheet so you can see that shape and see the word? Want to color coordinate it or whatever? Go right ahead. Nah, Mr. Walls, I'm good. All right. You're going to see one like 47 as well, where again, if there's no circumference or semicircle, you just add up all the edge pieces. Don't just add up the numbers on the outside. Don't forget there's a number here that's missing. Otherwise, again, the meat and potato here is volume and surface area of prisms, of pyramids, and also a cylinder. I got a star by all of those because there is 1, 2, 3, 4 examples here that say find the volume and surface area, because that's what the meat and potatoes are. That's what the main part of your test is on. But for time purposes, I'm just going to go over 51. Quickly here on 51, notice there's a general shape pushed all the way through it. The general shape pushed all the way through is a triangle. There's a triangle on the front and on the back. Since there are 2 triangles, that makes this guy a prism. Do you want to write down the word prism? Great. Do you want to draw this shape in? Great. Do you not want to? That's fine. But to find the surface area of a prism, we took 2 big B plus pH. The volume of a prism was just big B H. Do you want to make a reminder to yourself what the big B stands for? Great. Big B stands for the area of the base, or the main shape. That's what that B stands for. The letter P stands for the perimeter of the base. Perimeter of the main shape. And then the H stands for the height of the prism. Oftentimes I've always said the number we haven't used yet. Since your semester test is in front of you, you're welcome to use a highlighter to outline the main shape. To look at it, you may use your pencil as well, but since there's a triangle here in the front and one in the back, the surface area, I'm going to use 2 big B plus pH. But if you need a reminder to yourself to find the area of a triangle, that formula was little b, little h, the base and height of the triangle divided by 2. You can write that on in. Don't want to? Don't need to. The choice is yours. So again, on 51, since the main shape is a triangle, this right angle is going to be our friend. It touches this side down here, which is 6, times this tall side here, which is not 9 or 10 or 6, but actually 8. So 8 times 6 divided by 2 gives you 24. So when finding the surface area, we have that formula, 2 big B plus pH. So 2 times the area of the base, which was 24, plus now the perimeter of the base, which I usually like you to show me that work. So on the semester test, when you have to show this work on this problem, looking for 1, 2 formulas, 1, 2, possibly 3 spots of work, so it's a 5 or 6 point problem because I give you a point for trying it. So then do the perimeter of the base. Go around the outside. This side is 6, this side is 8. Careful, it's a triangle, we only want one other number, and that's this side here. So though you can use mental math and a calculator, do show me 6 plus 8 plus 10. So we can see that that's where that 24 came from. Times the height of the prism. What's the other number we haven't used? Or correctly said, what's the distance from between the bases? What's the distance from the triangle to the front, to the triangle in the back? Take it times that 9, grab a handy dandy calculator, and that's where you get your answer, 262 meters squared. Eliminating 2 examples in 1, find the volume of the the prism. So that's where we're going to just do the big BH, where we've already done the work. We've already figured out that the area of the base was 24. That was this guy. That was the area of the triangle, the main shape, times the height, the distance between the 2 triangles. And that's where the answer 216 meters cubes come into play. In the semester test, you'll see that all the labels are already there for us, so you don't have to worry about them. They'll be there. You can ask me in a homeroom or after school about these other ones if we don't get time to get to them. But just quickly here on number 52, it's a pyramid. So do you want to put down pyramid? And its surface area formula is big B plus half P, and that's my cursive L standing for this lateral height. Great. Do you want to put down that for a pyramid the volume is not quite BH? Hopefully I remember all the time to do rice like I did this year. When I did the rice thing, there was something important with the rice. What was that? Remember? It took how many times to fill it up?
3.
Took 3, so that's where that 3 comes from. You will also want to know how to find the perimeter of the surface area of a cylinder, but notice again, the main shape of a cylinder is circle. Are there 2 circles, one on top and one on bottom? Ah ha ha! So then it's technically a prism. So you'd find 2b plus pH, but what do we call the perimeter of a circle? What do you call going around the circle? Circumference. So you just have to note that. I'd like to work through those, but for time's sake, I want to go through on the back side and show you what the last 10 are like and how quickly they can go. Number 54. How many outfits can be made? You could use a tree diagram, otherwise the test says use the fundamental counting principle. Cool. If I have 2 pairs of shoes, take and multiply all your options. So 2 pairs of shoes times 7 pairs of shorts times 6 shirts. Anything else up there to choose from? Oh yeah. 3 hats. So make sure you take it times 3. So making a tree diagram would be very annoying because there are 252 ways, 252 outcomes, 252 outfits, possibilities. Please note, use a calculator. But if this is one of the problems I require to work on, write that down. Don't just put on used calculator. Show me what you typed into the calculator. Do you want to make the note the word theoretical probability means just normal probability? Same thing on 55. What's the probability you roll a 5 on a number cube? 1 out of 6. What is the theoretical probability of rolling a 5? 1 out of 6. Down here, experimental probability. How many times did you get a 5 or a 7? So over here, we got a 5. Experimental probability, we got it 5 times. We got a 7 once. 5 plus 1 gives me 6. 6 out of how many total spins? So that's where, this is 2, 3, 2. You add them all up to get 22, which is great math. But you say, Mr. Wallace, that's not one of the answers, and you're right. You have to simplify it to get us 3/11ths. Perfect. From there, then, these words, impossible, unlikely, equally likely, likely, and certain. Know those. Do you want to put down the word that you use for probability of snowing today is 0? Impossible. Free throw, you make it 70% of the time? That is likely that you're going to make it. What's the chance that your band marches in the parade? 1 out of 6? Ooh, unlikely. And then the probability it rains during a hurricane is 1. That word is certain. Do you want to have that on in there? Great. Otherwise, lastly, here we go, way down here. Let me get this one quick. An entire group of people or objects. That's like our survey project. The entire group of people was your population, the students at Ramstead. It's just a definition. You want to write that in your notes fast? You can. This is part of a population. It's a sample. You need to know those. Those are listed in the answer. Sample type, but down here, 71. At lunch, when you only asked the 7th graders, was that fair to figure out what all Ramstead liked? No, so we used a word that is a biased sample. If it's a biased sample, it means we had an invalid conclusion. It's all multiple choice, so do you want to write those words in as examples? Great. Now, Mr. Wallace, you give me 4 options, I can figure out the right one. Great. That you can do. So again, if you've got questions, catch me in homeroom or after school or hopefully on day 2.